We just got back from Puerto Rico where we were fly fishing for the big three: tarpon, bonefish, and permit. Why Puerto Rico, you might be asking? I think the better question is, why not?
After that struggle fest too, like, holy my pliers are somewhere. I was tangled on the coral, my feet, my pliers. Oh, what a permit will do to you, I guess.
Why'd you pick Puerto Rico?
I think I picked Puerto Rico because I picked Puerto Rico because I had some unfinished business there.
Ooh. Important.
Puerto Rico is actually the place I went on my very first ever saltwater fly fishing trip. And we ended up finding tarpon on the island. We ended up finding some really big bonefish, and we even saw what we thought might be permit tails. But yeah, fast forward 5 years and we're looking at a place to go for our honeymoon / our first DIY fishing trip together, our first saltwater fishing trip together. There's this new guide, Captain Antonio Flecha, and he's like kind of one of the only people in Puerto Rico that's really chasing permit specifically. And seeing this guy, his Instagram kind of just, it took me back to that beach where I saw those permit tailing, and it kind of just like proved what I thought to be true. You know, it proved that there were permit on this island, even though we were told they weren't. So that's really the real reason we went to Puerto Rico.
We're gonna go meet up with Magic Tarpon right now. Hopefully catch some fish. Rained last night. It was also the full moon. I don't know how that's gonna affect the tarpon. We'll find out.
Day one, we met up with Magic Tarpon, Captain Carlos. Wasn't very far from where we were staying in San Juan. We motored maybe 5 minutes from where we met our guide, and there's tarpon freaking everywhere.
I was just on the front of the boat. I went to recast, and a probably 30-pounder took my fly. And I was like, oh my God, okay, here we go. Like, kind of a fluke way to hook one, but let's roll with it. So it starts running, and then shortly after I realize there is a knot in my line, or like my line's just bunched up. This knot gets pulled through my guides and pops off the whole top of the rod.
Yeah, I think we all noticed at the same time what was about to happen. Like, Carlos came running, he grabbed the line, and just in time for it to pop through as well. Yeah. I didn't know what to do. Like, stop filming and help. Like, what's more important, get the shot or get the fish? It was like one of those learning moments for everyone, chaos. I think.
But the knot got pulled so tight, Carlos is like, this isn't coming out. So he's working on the knot. I've just kind of resigned to this fact.
Yeah,
this fish is gone.
I think I stopped filming because I thought the fish was gone.
Yeah, it was just such a fluke how I hooked him anyway. So I was like, whatever, I didn't earn this fish.
Yeah.
But somehow Carlos gets the knot undone and the fish is still on. And so we get the knot taken care of, we get the rod put back together, and the fight is back on. And then at one point, this rod is just like fully bent over itself in half. Like, we put that thing through the ringer, and it was totally unscathed. But that fish did get off eventually with a jump. But that was just one of the most chaotic experiences I've ever had. It was so much fun.
We only did a half day with them. It was actually really cool when I called. I called to book a full day tarpon fishing, and they were like, man, honestly, by noon, the fishing's done, so we should just do a 4-hour early, go early and be done by 11 o'clock. And we did that, and so we planned that night, since we had the whole afternoon off, to actually have some downtime, go out, see the culture. We went to Old San Juan, we got dressed up, we had some martinis, we had some really good dinner down by the ocean, and then the next morning we took the ferry out to the island for the rest of our trip. So yeah, we got off the ferry and had just a short walk over to our Airbnb, which was conveniently located right next to the town dock. It made it really easy for Captain Fletcher to pick us up the next morning for our first guided day with him. So we showered off real quick, went and had some dinner, and called it a night because we had an early morning with him the next day.
The first day, Captain Fletcher picked us up from the dock, and it wasn't really great permit fishing weather, and the tides weren't quite right, so we decided to target bonefish and tarpon. At one point, we were in some pretty deep water and saw a big mud cloud, and Fletcher said that could either be a ray or bonefish, so we thought we'd check it out, and we put on the heaviest shrimp pattern we had and put that on an intermediate line we had for tarpon and let it sink all the way down, and we both ended up catching bonefish that way, which was pretty wild to be essentially blind casting to bonefish. Later on, we went into the mangrove and found a bunch of juvenile tarpon, and we threw some gurglers at them, and they were super aggressive. So cool to see them eat off the top water like that. I didn't actually land any of the ones I was targeting. I hooked probably 4 or 5 like that, but they all got off because I was just not very focused. I was too busy laughing at how crazy that was.
But yeah, so new things. Got to fish poppers for tarpon, got to fish on the bottom for bonefish. Definitely, yeah, guides knowledge, you know, turning what could be a strikeout day into like something really fun just by knowing that, oh, that cloud of mud down there could be bonefish. Let's try this out. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely helpful.
You're almost there, babe. Top of the world. It's steep. After Captain Fletcher dropped us off, I think we both still had a lot of energy left in the tank, and we had a lot of daylight left, so we decided to go try our hand at some DIY.
No, DIY fishing is do it yourself. It means you're going out there, you're grinding. It's a lot harder work. You know, it's like finding a needle in a haystack. The ocean's a big place, so finding these specific fish that you're targeting, it's difficult. And I think it makes it that much more rewarding when you do catch a fish and you do even find those fish. Like, you know, I really wanted to see permit, and our first night DIY fishing, we see this freaking massive permit tailing. I didn't catch it, but just finding it and knowing that all the work we put in and finding these flats on Google Earth and then being able to go and time it right to where this fish showed up and we saw it and had the chance to catch it, that was a win in itself.
Huge.
Right behind us, I watched him turn around and then lost interest, started moving to the right, and I led him by like 4 feet, perfect. He beelined it. I thought he ate.
At the crab?
Yeah, he beelined it at the crab, like stopped at the crab, turned around, and then surfed a wave straight at me looking for it again.
Oh my God.
Like I saw the thing from here to this wave, just like coming.
Yeah, I feel like I saw that one.
After that struggle fest too, like Holy, my pliers are somewhere. I was tangled on the coral, my feet, my pliers. Oh, what a permit will do to you, I guess.
That was crazy big.
That was huge.
Yeah.
On the second day with Captain Fletcher, unfortunately the weather was worse than the day before, and that kind of kept us from getting out to the flats that he normally chases permit on. And we had to focus our efforts more on bonefish and tarpon again. With a couple hours of casting and only one small barracuda to show for it, we decided to go try our hand at a bonefish flat right around the corner. This was a flat that I was able to access on my last trip to this island 5 years ago, so it brought back some fond memories. We made several casts at these bonefish and got nothing but refusals time after time. Turns out the bonefish were just as picky as I remembered. So we decided to pack it up and go check out one last flat that Captain Fletcher said he has seen permit a couple times. We saw 3 permit this entire trip, and one of the shots I had at the permit, there was a massive, like 48-inch probably, 4-foot plus barracuda that came in, like same time the permit was coming this way. Tail out, and the barracuda was coming in. So you can see I actually cast over this barracuda as the permit's tailing to my fly, and the permit's coming right to where my fly should be. And the cuda comes from here and spooks it, and they just both disappeared, and that was it.
He took us to one final tarpon spot as kind of like a Hail Mary, and we found some tarpon that were just cruising around near a dock, and then I go to cast, and of course, immediately cast into a tree.
Come out, please.
So we have to get close, pull my fly out. I'm feeling really bad because we had just found fish after all day not really seeing much. I'm just like, I'm sorry. And then he tells me to just start blind casting out into the deeper water on the other side of the boat. And, you know, there's all these sailboats and whatnot. And I cast, and all of a sudden it's like I've set into a rock. Like, I'm like, okay, here we go. I just hooked a big ass tarpon, and he jumps. He is pretty big. I'm all excited. I'm freaking out. And
Perfect strip set. That was great. Come on, fish. Go left, please. Touch in the water and pull.
I have the rod like bent in half. At one point, he's practically under our boat. But then he ends up going under this sailboat, and I absolutely cannot muscle this guy out.
Come on, please. Okay, now right. He's off. It's alright.
And I don't know what happened. Like, I had tension the whole time. The fly never broke off or anything, but I think he tapped one of the ropes going down to the anchor and just got me off. But my hand is...
So that pretty much wrapped up our time with Captain Fletcher. The next few days we were on our own for finding fish.
Pretty nasty out.
DIY is not for everyone. I think if you can afford to go with a guide, definitely do it because they're a great resource. They have boats, they have local knowledge, they know what these fish eat, they have flies that they've tied specifically for their fishery. So if you can afford it, it cuts out a lot of that guessing game, and you get to go straight to the fish instead of, you know, wondering and waiting and trying to time things right and walking a lot, because we walked a lot this trip.
We walked for hours and hours.
Hours and hours.
Without seeing a single fish.
And we stood around a lot too. We stood around on certain places that looked fishy or that we had seen fish before, and we waited for them to come back.
Yeah, I think like the best thing you can do to be successful in DIY fishing, beyond doing your research, preparing yourself, practicing your cast, having the right gear, it's patience. Like the ability to stay on a flat even if you're not seeing fish, believing that they will come at some point, and just putting in the time and enjoying that time when you aren't seeing fish too, I think is so important. Like, it's not just about the fishing. Saltwater fishing takes you to some really beautiful places. Go enjoy that too. Like, you're walking around in the middle of the ocean. I mean, in our case, we didn't see a single other fisherman any of the days we were out. We had these places all to ourselves, so it was amazing just to spend the whole day out there, see all kinds of stuff, see all the different weather patterns come and go, take a nap on the beach, like just make it an experience. And like the fish are a bonus for sure.
Pretty sure Tanner just hooked into a bone. The way it's fighting. Saw a few. When we were coming up here, we didn't have our rods, and it's windy as hell. That bone? Is that bone? I thought so. Woo! Nice!
This too shall pass. Way in there.
The moment that I think we both had given up and we were like, all right, it's done. We were like 15 steps from getting out of the water and going to pack our stuff for an early departure the next morning. And we see these tails and I'm like, oh my God, Morgan, there's bonefish tails right there. And we stopped, we got like set up right. We took our time. Morgan made a beautiful cast in front of this school. And we saw the school like turn, the tails were so happy, they were following. She was doing everything right, like short little ticks. And they followed all the way to her feet essentially and never ate. And that was a moment that we could have easily like got down on ourselves and walked out, but we were like, no, they didn't spook, like let's change the fly. And let's try again if they, like, let's wait a little while. We got a little more time. you know, the sun's not completely down yet. So we changed flies real quick, put on something a little smaller, a little lighter. And sure enough, here come tails again. But we thought it was just maybe one big one. We didn't realize it was the whole school was back. And I think both Morgan and I were looking at the lead fish who was tailing out everything, who at this point had passed the fly. So I think both of us were in our minds like, okay, we missed this shot, like slowly strip it in, don't spook the fish and you might get another shot at him. And as she's stripping in, you can see the line go tight, and we didn't even realize it was the whole school again, and she had hooked one of the other fish, and just, you know, she held onto the line a little when this fish was already trying to run and popped it. But learning experience, yeah, definitely a haunting experience, I'm sure. But so cool to see. Also, like, last minute, we thought the day was over. We thought we were done fishing. It was time to go home. And then to get like 2 amazing setups on these fish like that, it was, again, it's like, yes, we didn't catch the fish, kind of like the permit that we saw tailing and we never caught it, but it's rewarding to be out there on your own, grinding all day, and then to have that setup and have that shot is really cool in itself.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And it makes us want to go back, right? It's always the fish that get away that keep you coming back, so we can be done. I think we're done. Thanks for stopping by, guys. Hopefully we got more trips coming up in the future like this, and we can keep you guys posted on some stuff. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow, comment, share. Yeah, we want to be your favorite fly fishing buddies.
And go fishing.
Oh yeah, go fishing. It's nice outside. That's what we're gonna do. See ya.